Let's go! Welcome to the show. It's Project Open Mic. Let's get the show off right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with me, cause it's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. Let's get the topic straight. Let's get things good. Let's do everything that we should. It's Project Open Mic. Let's kick the show off right. Let's open our minds and take out our style. Let's see what's going on in the world tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's kick the show off right. It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's kick the show off right. It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's take the show. Alrighty, what is going on, guys? This is your boy Take from Project Open Mic, of course. Tonight we have a special show, so let me just go on and introduce myself again. So what's going on out there? Those in Facebook, and those also down in Facebook, those in YouTube, those in of course Tempo FM. How you guys doing? I hope you guys are having a wonderful night. Hope everything is good with you, and I hope you can hear me clearly and everything's good. With that stated, all right, so tonight we're gonna have something a little different. Now, some people say I say negative stuff to certain things. Again, I'm a realist, but I'll take it as what it is. But I do want to talk about some stuff tonight. I'm gonna try to like play a little this music you see right here to certain things, so you could cancel out the certain things. You'll see what's happening. But tonight, anyway, I want to talk about about what the topic is, but real Black power of Black people who overcome diversity, and it is showing that, again, I think we should have. I don't think Black History Month should be relegated to history. As Morgan Freeman said, every Black history is American history, and it should be every month, whatever you want to show it. But you want to go ahead and push that. Go. I have no problem with that. For those who truly understand it and go through that. Now, I will say this: there are people who how should I say this, like they prophesize off of this, the race hustlers and a lot of the corporations as well. They do go through a lot of this nonsense. So like I like basic Black history has become a commercialized. It really has. And it's sad that it's come that way. Just like how Christmas became commercialized, just like the Gay Pride Month has become commercialized, and Hispanic, it's been commercialized. It's basically companies giving falsehood, pretending, doing this just to get you to buy their products, okay? Just calling it as it is in that regard. And that's what they're doing. But, and like I said, I am doing something called, that is called the Black Curse. Well, these are people I'm going to bring up who broke the Black Curse. And I have to say, one of them is basically not only really, but one of them is basically looking at him right here, truly. Now, I don't have a lineage to give my gift to, except for sharing it with the world, and hope a lot of Black men and Black women, young folks, all races, but mostly Black men, young Black men, have some kind of direction and go. You'll see that mostly in my videos. I did a video called Straight No Chases when I talk about how men is your fault because you let certain things happen, and that's why some women take advantage of you. I'm just calling it as again. I'm gonna call it straight as it is. But I would say this again. There's a lot of people, majority of blacks that come from other countries, from Africa, from Caribbean, that comes to America, does 100 times better than blacks in America themselves, and that's sad. And they don't see the opportunities and don't take it. But there is, I know a lot of Republicans or conservative blacks people say there's no systematic racism. There is. There is a systematic racism, and the systematic racism is called the welfare state. That's just what it is. And they continue, and because of the welfare state, that has made it more generalized and generational racism over and over again. A mother have a child without a father, the father's not there, or the father left, or the father whatever. I'm just saying, in certain cases, the child grows up, does have a big problem, as I'll be showing you all this. And then the mother, then the child takes on most of the tendencies from the mother. It just is. We just soak up stuff like that with kids. And then the state becomes the so-called father, and then the cycle repeats itself and repeats itself. Now you got a point where you got women who have 4, 5, 6, 7 kids. I should have said 19 kids for that one specific black woman I know of. But kids, no fathers in their lives, and the government got to take care of this. And that don't mean that they ain't got to do a black thing. Octomom is another one. I forgot. She's white something. I can't remember. She's something else, but she's white. But she does. She has the same problem. Kids have spreading itself. You need, like I said, I am and will always say we need both parents. It take a man and a woman to have a child. So it should take the two of them to raise the child. Okay. I'm not in this thing where, okay, and we're now there's a lot of women now going artificial insemination and then freezing the eggs and all this stuff and raising it by themselves. Good for you. Again, I was from single mom myself too, but I'm not gonna make that mistake, and that's why I am basically I have no children and I'm single, just because I do not want to have I just don't want to put myself in that situation. And having a child, number one, having a child is very expensive and life changing. So you should not be looked as a willy nilly thing. It should not be. You should look at a thing that is very dear. And to be honest with you, I'm going to say this because it's a statistical fact. Majority of children on this planet are born through lust than love. And that's sad. It's an oops baby or whatever. It's not love. It's not planned. For the people who planned it, I give them kudos. And that's what I want to do. I could have had a child many times over, but because I know what comes with it, and I want to make sure it was born through love and not no oops stuff. That's why I've never had unprotected sex with nobody, because that is very, very near and dear to me. And also, again, having a child takes away a lot of financial options from you. That's why you can see if you're looking back here, all these are expensive gears and stuff that I use because I'm going to be using to make the documentary and movies and everything like I'm going to do. The lights and everything that I have around me. Yes. Hold off on having a child until you're married or you're in a secure relationship. You don't have to be married. You could be in a really good, secure relationship. Or if it didn't work out, have a co-parenting. But other than that, no, don't try to do it willy-nilly. Please protect yourself, including males. Wrap it up. And ladies, be on some sort of birth control as well. So it's just kind of crazy because they're like, oh, their birth control is the men having the condom. Hey, they're evil men out there. The evil men out there who would punch your just like a woman would punch your condom just to have a child to keep them there. One and two. If I was a female, I'm not trusting nobody else with my health except for me. I could control my hands, my feet, my thoughts. That's me. I'm not trusting nobody else, so we should be doing that. That's what we should do. Minimum, okay? Minimum, that's what you should do. But I'm gonna go through tonight's show. We're gonna go through a bunch of stuff of people who broke the black curse. people who fought, people who do one of the things I've said multiple times. If prove them wrong, prove me. You want to tell me this? Prove me wrong. I'll prove you wrong. That's what it is. Prove them wrong. They say this ain't gonna happen. Prove them wrong. Hey, TC Records ain't gonna last more than a year. It's going to be next year. It's going to be about 20 years. TC Records has been around. I want to get I want to get a platinum award. I got two. I got a gold. I got two golds, no, three platinums. Three platinums. I forgot. Three platinums, two golds, multiple Bevies award, little awards and stuff like that. I did that. Why? By just working hard, keeping myself focused, not messing up, like I said, with the children and stuff like that. Keep my head in the game and prove people wrong. Now, there are times when people have proved me wrong, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I was not that. And I backed down. But my point is, at least I tried. At least I tried. I don't know if I will get to do this analogy with the baseball. There's a baseball analogy I want to use, but I'm trying to make a video analogy of it to see what's going on. We'll see how that works, of course. But with that said, let's get down to the nitty gritty. And I have to say, for the Tempo team, thank y'all for I'm seeing again. I mean, after the bat, we already done past 10,000 live watches right now. So thank you. So anyway, let's get into the nitty gritty of some of this stuff. Make it that y'all can see this as best as I can. There. All right. Here's one person that started this off. When I hear people say something about black women can't do stuff like that or whatever, I say cut the BS. All right. Young women, if you're black, all right, do it legal. Men or women, please do it legally. You do not want it to be a pain in the butt and you get captured. I saw a video with this one where this lady basically ran some scams and now she's going to jail. Please do it legally, okay? Point blank, period. All right? Okay. Let's get that out of the way. But I'm going to show you some women who define the odds as well, too. So when people say, oh, women can't do this, yes, they can if they put their minds to it. All right? And you don't have to enter the same space or try to be like a man. Just be you as a female and dominate you as a feminine woman. Effeminate. I didn't say feminist, I said feminine woman. And you could do great things. Now, let's look at this biography. Madam C.J. Walker created specialized hair products for African hair and one of the first American women to become a self-made millionaire. You see what she became the first American woman to become a self-made millionaire. Okay, and she was, and this is back in the early 1800s into the 1900s. I mean, not 1800s, later 1800s to early 1900s. Madam C.J. Walker invented a line of African hair products after suffering from a scalp impediment and resulted in her own hair loss. She promoted the product by traveling around the country, giving lectures and demonstrating, eventually established Madam C.J. Walker Laboratories to manufacture cosmetics and train sales beauticians. Her business acumen led her to become the first American woman to become a self-made millionaire. She was known to the, she just, remember this is, like I said, this is back in the 1970s. Oh, this lady was just, was a prolific, including the donation towards constructing of the Indianapolis YMCA in 1913. Walker's life portrayal in the 22 series show Self-Made with Octavia Spencer portraying Walker. Walker was born to Sarah B. Love in 7/23, 1867, Cotton. Remember, she was slavery on a cotton plantation near Delta, Louisiana. Her parents, Owen and Minerva, were enslaved and recently freed, and Sarah, who was their fifth child, was the first in her family to become a born free slave. Minerva died in 1974. Owen passed away in the following year, both due to unknown causes. Again, remember, see all this with slavery. They stick together as a family. Black, it was a son, father, and mother. There was his family. Again, remember this, how this was. People talking about, oh, today now, that's why shout outs. I don't have her on here, but I'm going to do a video of her who predicted this. Shout out to Sister Sherazad Ali back in the 80s. She predicted this was going to happen. What happened in the 2000s, and she's correct. She's been correct. As sad as it is, she's been correct. Oh, and our friend aged at 7. After her parents passed away, Sarah was sent to live with her sister in Lavinia and a brother-in-law. The three moved to Vicksburg, Mississippi in 1977, where Sarah picked cotton. There you go. Even though a slave had to do that, and was likely employed doing household work, although no documentation exists verifying her employment at the time, which I can understand that. I just want to play this little clip here as well, too. Just to...
Madam C.J. Walker was born Sarah Breedlove in 1867 on a plantation in Delta, Louisiana, where her parents had been slaves before the Civil War. And her early life was really bleak. By the time she was 7 years old, both parents had died. She got married at 14, she said, to get a home of her own because she was being abused by a cruel brother-in-law, as she described him. She became a mother at 17 and a widow at 20. Necessity is always the mother of invention, and Madam C.J. Walker was losing her hair. There was no big line of hair care products for Black women or white women at the time. People usually used home remedies. She eventually came up with her own formula, and the real secret was not the product itself, but it was washing her hair more often and applying an ointment that contained sulfur. And this was really pretty revolutionary at the time. You think about it, there was no penicillin, there was no aspirin. Skin care, scalp care was something that was really neglected. People didn't bathe very often. They washed their hair even less often, sometimes not at all during the winter. And as a result, a lot of people were going bald. They had really horrible scalp disease. Sarah Breedlove, who later became Madam C.J. Walker, was one of those women. And by developing this system, essentially, her scalp became healthy, her hair began to grow back. She developed a hair care product line, and then she trained thousands of other women who began to buy and sell her products. And by the time she moved to Harlem in 1916, she was one of the wealthiest and most successful African-American entrepreneurs in the country.
So you can't look at her beginnings. Look how her beginnings were, and she worked hard to become something very profound. And I tip my hat off to Madam C.J. Walker for what? Sarah Breedlove, because you know what? She had entrepreneurship. She found something that she had to do. Bang, and she become self-made millionaire, the first one. Not black, not white. First self-made millionaire. Okay. First American woman to become a self-made millionaire. They didn't say black or white. That's my point. All right. Letting you know, all know that. That's why I don't believe this thing that we have here. Like I said, this thing that people always talk about, this skin, saying I'm black or whatever. This right here. Oh, don't go into this world. The black man will be this. Blah 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 blah. I defy it. I don't care. If you you don't want to talk to me, turn from me because of my skin. That's your loss. I'm not gonna force you to talk to me. I keeps it moving. And she keeps it moving. And a lot of people you see on this, what I'm going to show you, they kept it moving. Why? Because that did not hold us back. It's the character. It's the way we think. It's the way that we protect our people or the way we care for people. That's us. It's our character. There's nobody else who's like me. There's nobody else who's like you. There are millions of blacks, and not all those blacks thinks the same. There are millions of whites, and not all those whites think the same. That's why I always said evil comes in all shapes, size, color, race, creed, job. It mean no different. Evil's evil. But good also comes in all those same things as well. There are bad black people and there are good black people. There are people who sell for mediocre. There's people who rise to the top. Just that. Just because you see my skin, yes, I have certain attributes, stereotypes that might go with it. I don't care about that. I prove people wrong. That's why I always say I speak for myself. I don't speak for the community. There really is no black community, really. No white community, whatever. There really is not. There are people who think the same as us, and I will give that, but we're not a monolith. That's why I created again Project Open Mic, so we have a conversation. It's not that we don't have that, but I have talked to so many. Let's put it this way: I've talked to many potential women that I thought I was gonna be like, okay, this would be a perfect person to have a family with, and listening to what they're saying and this is how their thought process was, it's like, nope, this ain't gonna work. Everybody's different. This skin color does not mean to hold you. If you think hold you back, if a white person, as people will say, oh, well, Americans are racist, again, go to, as I said multiple times before, go to other countries. See, you want to see some messed up racism? Go to other countries, and there's no major civilization that did have no racism. Japanese has racism, has slavery. China has racism, has slavery. India has racism, has slavery. Europe had racism and slavery. White people was enslaving white people. Indians and Native Americans before us was enslaving themselves. It was just part of human nature. Like I've said it before, tribalism is the core of all this stuff. Tribalism is the core of human nature that creates classism and racism and all the other stuff that people don't like. Sorry, but that's human nature. Can we grow out of it to a degree? Yes. Can we benefit and not hurt people? Yes. Can we have equal opportunities as best as we could try to give the people a chance to do something? Yes. That's why I say a lot of black people from other countries that come to America take the same opportunities that a lot of black Americans do not take and do 100 times better than them. But when we try to go for equal outcomes, that's a problem because nobody's going to put in the same amount of effort in their life to do what they want to do. All right. You think a lot of people, the reason Madam C.J. Walker got to that point because she put in that effort. A lot of people did that. Prove them wrong. That's why I always say, for the young guys and young women who are black, Latino, whatever, prove them wrong. That's all you got to do. There gonna be some goals that y'all gonna try to set. Oh, I want to be a football star. I want to be a basketball star. Try your best. That's all I can say. Try your best. Not a lot of people get there. Some people get there and then they hurt themselves or they can't get whatever. They're trying to be a singer and all that stuff. Hell, try. I'm not saying you can't. Be practical about it, though. That's the thing. Be practical about what you're doing, so you don't fall off when that dream doesn't happen. You have something to fall back on. But again, shout outs and again respect to Madam C.J. Walker and Sarah B. Love for what she did. She stand up there, she did her thing, and prove people wrong. Now I want to keep it wrong. Now I want to show you something as well too. Sadly as it is, but people don't read a lot of stuff, and that's sad. So what I'm going to show you is this. There's a quick snippet of this. When black people speak white, and for some reason, as they say, which is stupid, they're articulate, well clean shaven, like what Joe Biden said to Obama, which was basically a backhand compliment. That was so messed up, but hey, whatever. Joe Biden said it. He's articulate. He's well spoken. He's clean. He's a clean African American Negro. Whatever, Joe. But yeah, they all say, well, that's speaking white. You're a sellout. You're a coon. You're this, you're that, and all that stuff. One of the words people always say, and it's a good movie to go and watch. I'm going to show you a clip from this movie too, but it's a good movie to watch. Mostly they call you Uncle Tom. Even Malcolm X said him Uncle Tom. Why? Because And I was surprised that Malcolm X said that so much, but you know, being a he was thing. But again, as I gotta get that clip, I did say I was gonna get that clip, and I ain't never gonna get that clip from one of the best clips from I Am Robot, when Will Smith talked to the lady, and the lady's like, "You're the stupidest person I've ever met," and Will Smith said, "You're the smartest dumb person I ever met." And it sounds like it don't make sense, but it does make sense. There are a lot of people who are book sense, who knows who's been programmed and know repetition and know, oh yeah, I am smart, I got these degrees, but common, simple sense things they know nothing about at all. It's like on a side chat, if you guys watch the side chat I talked about last Friday, there are people who don't even know what a GFI switch is and how to reset it. It literally is on the switch itself, but they're calling electricians to come in to do it. They're calling electricians to come in to turn off the main valve water inside their house. I mean, plumbers. Plumbers are charging $200. It's like, it's crazy. You're smart, but then you don't know the simple stuff. So they call you an Uncle Tom. But the problem is, though, those people read Tom's Cabin. You're gonna find out of what Tom's Cabin is. He is not. He was basically like in the story. He was like a Harriet Tubman, just like a guy. That's all it is. But again, it was a story, and that story is what kicked off. Well, Jules, you know what? Why talk when I could just show?
When Uncle Tom's Cabin was published in 1852, the anti-slavery novel flew off the shelves. 17 printing presses ran 24 hours a day to keep up with the demand, making it the best-selling novel of the 19th century.
The book struck at our emotions as a nation, and it made us see ourselves. It was our emotional mirror, and it prompted some individuals to rethink how they thought of slavery.
Uncle Tom's Cabin has been cited as a factor leading to the Civil War. When Abraham Lincoln later met the author, Harriet Beecher Stowe, he reportedly said, "So you're the little woman who wrote the book that started this great war." In 1852, the backlash was immediate and powerful.
In the South, the book was banned. And if you were caught selling the book, you were either going to be killed or thrown in prison. There was tremendous fear that this book would make a difference.
It did by portraying Uncle Tom as a dignified, intelligent, God-fearing man. In the South, however, traveling Tom shows became popular, depicting him as a submissive buffoon, happy in his enslaved condition, a stereotype that still exists today.
Thank you.
There were also attempts to discredit Harriet Beecher Stowe. The author countered with a key to Uncle Tom's Cabin, an exhaustive bibliography of the real people behind her fictional characters. It included her primary inspiration for Uncle Tom.
Josiah Henson was an individual who demonstrated extraordinary courage. He tried to help other people, especially whites in this country, to understand the reality of slavery.
Josiah Henson's story begins here in Rockville, Maryland, on the outskirts of Washington, D.C. Now, this suburban neighborhood was once a 570-acre plantation, and the house behind me is where the owner lived, a man named Isaac Riley.
In this time period, masters wanted to present themselves to be very benevolent, these patriarchs who cared about their people that were enslaved, but the presentation that Henson gives us was that didn't happen for Isaac Riley.
I faithfully served Riley for many years. He was coarse and vulgar in his habits, and unprincipled and cruel in his general deportment.
Henson's autobiography provides many examples of Riley's cruelty, like the day he discovered a book on grammar hidden in 9-year-old Josiah's cap.
When Riley saw the book, of course, he was outraged because it was unheard of that his enslaved people would learn to read and write.
"Pick up that book," he cried, using an awful oath. At last I was obliged to do it, when he beat me across the head and back till my eyes were swollen and I became unconscious.
Despite the harsh treatment, Henson proved to be trustworthy. Eventually elevated to overseeing the plantation, he was able to ease the harsh conditions faced by his fellow slaves. When he was 18, he was even allowed to attend a revival meeting. Although not permitted to enter the church, he heard a life-changing message from preacher John McKinney.
He said, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, tasted death for every man. It touched my heart, and I cried out, I wonder if Jesus Christ died for me. Again and again did the preacher reiterate the words, for every man. Oh, the blessedness and sweetness of feeling that I was loved.
And that meant a lot to him because he knew that God would always be on his side. He would deliver him, and he would decide his plan in life.
The plan included moving his family and 18 others to Isaac Riley's brother's home in Kentucky. When they got to Cincinnati, Henson found his faithfulness tested. Although Ohio was a free state and many free black men encouraged them to stay, he stood firm.
He felt like he had been tasked with this duty, and he was going to fulfill it. He had taken care of them, and they felt like if he wants us to carry along, we'll go with him.
Henson came to regret that decision. 3 years after their arrival in Kentucky, those who followed him were put up for auction.
Husbands and wives, parents and children were to be separated forever. From that hour, I saw through, hated, and cursed the whole system of slavery. One absorbing purpose occupied my soul, to gain freedom, self-assertion, and deliverance from the cruel caprices and fortunes of dissolute tyrants.
Because of Henson's management skills, he and his family were initially allowed to stay together. 2 years later, however, his time had come. The only option, escape. A major obstacle was the Fugitive Slave Act of 1793, which meant he and his family could be captured even in a free state. So he set his sights on Canada.
It was a 600-mile journey that he would have to make on foot with his wife and 4 children, traveling by night, sleeping by day, super dangerous. But he knows he's got to go to Canada. It's the only place that he can truly be a free man.
His wife made a sling for Josiah to carry the 2 youngest children on his back. With only the North Star as their guide, the Henson family began their journey. After 40 grueling days, they arrived at Lake Erie just across the water from Canada. A sympathetic ship captain offered to take them the rest of the way.
He put his hand on my head and said, "Be a good fellow, won't you?" I felt streams of emotion running down in electric courses from head to foot. "Yes," said I, "I'll use my freedom well."
Henson helped start a black settlement in Ontario, including a multiracial school, almost unheard of at the time. To raise money and awareness, he preached throughout the United States and England, where he was granted a private audience with Queen Victoria. During those years, he risked his life to help a total of 118 slaves reach freedom in Canada.
He's an inspiration for me personally, and I hope for many people as they hear this story, to use our freedom well, right? To use our resources, our time, our money, our energy, our voice, our influence, to use it on behalf of those with less than us.
Near the end of his life, Josiah Henson returned to the plantation he once managed. Although many of his experiences here were unimaginably painful, he could see God's hand in them. Later writing, "Sharp flashes of lightning come from black clouds." John Jessup, CBN News.
All right. Now you see who was how Uncle Tom came from. And if you read the book, that's what he did. He helped people. Like I said, he did it a different way than Harriet Tubman. And Harriet Tubman also should be, of course, praised as well. But again, Josiah, which was Uncle Tom is the same thing. It was the South, which were Democrats, but I'll go past that. They were the South who turned it into, oh, he's a jive chucking turkey who don't know. He's a sellout. He's a bootlicker. Like, yeah, because that's how propaganda gets to people and change their minds, not knowing what the truth of the people is. That's why when people do, oh, you're Uncle Tom. Well, thank you. Thank you. I mean, it's supposed to be an insult. You never read the book, did you? What book? You answered my question. Thank you. Thank you. But you said, Uncle Tom, again, I'm supposed to be upset. I don't think I'm supposed to be upset, but whatever what you think, I'm not. I'm happy by what I'm saying. So that's it. That's just we're going through that setup. I don't want to leave a space for something that's gonna take a while. It's gonna take about 20 something minutes. So let me make sure. Yep. So you guys can hear it. So I want to play from I know a lot of people don't like this lady for reasons, but I like it because you get one thing is you get great stuff from it. So I want to play you guys again, people talk about how rough it is, right? So here's another powerful black woman who again proved people wrong. And she also was a part of the how bad the South was. So let's go to that.
Show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited.
Thank you for stopping in. You have a most incredible story, and there are a lot of points in your story that kind of intersect with my personal story, my family story, rather. So I really want to start with just who you are as a human being, right? Where it starts in your youth, because you did not have a very easy upbringing. So can you just start with where you're
course she
from
didn't.
and how you were raised?
Well, first of all, I want to start with the fact that I was shy most of my life. And people look at me today and they think, oh no,
And man, like I said, she's in her 60s, and gotta say, still a beautiful black woman. Just saying, all right? With the natural hair. And she got a story about her natural hair too, which I like. Because she was like CJ Walker, she was losing her hair and the stuff, and then she just went natural, and her hair came back. And she always, I like that she said like, oh, and you could go check this out, the Candace Owens Show on PragerU. You can watch the whole thing. I will put most of these videos in the raw profile on the YouTube channel. You can see down there, YouTube channel, the raw profile. You can watch it in its entirety, because I'm gonna nitpick in here and there, but you can watch it in its entirety in that. And while you're watching the raw profile, all proceedings again, if they are monetizing their videos, all monetization goes to them. I do not monetize my channel. I am doing this for teachable purposes, of course, on YouTube and through Facebook. Of course, Temper FM, I don't really get paid through that as well. So this is just me. Just think of it like I got a calling to do this. That's the way I look at it. So, speaking of that, like I said, it's just so cool about her. But anyway,
because once I started talking, I never shut up. But I was born in the rural South in southwestern Virginia. And for part of my life, I lived in a 2-room shack with, at that time, about 9 of my siblings and my mother and stepfather. And the kind of poverty I experienced was nothing like the people today who say they're poor, which means maybe they have one car and maybe
exactly.
they don't have a TV in every room. But it's nothing
Exactly.
like the kind of poverty where you don't have clothes to wear to school that's suitable for the weather. And I tell the story of one year I failed school along with all of my siblings because it snowed heavily that winter and we missed 80 of 180 school days.
Wow.
And so the whole family failed.
Now, what do you mean by that? That you didn't have a coat to wear out the door?
Well, mostly it was the snow was deep and we did not have any boots or snowshoes. And so we stayed home until the snow melted.
Wow. And you said a 2-room shack, 9 brothers
No
and sisters?
indoor plumbing.
Mm-hmm.
And a few years ago, I went back to the house with a reporter and it was still standing. Part of it was still standing. And the house had not drywall, but cardboard, and wallpaper over top of the cardboard. It had a tin roof, and then on the outside, it had something that we used to call tar paper. It looks like brick, and it's something that if you light it, it burns, very, very quickly. It's a great fire starter. That was on the outside of the house.
Wow. And your parents, what was their upbringing?
Well, my mother, she had a father and mother intact family, but she married my father. They divorced when I was so young. I don't remember when they lived together. I had a stepfather, and my mother finished the 10th grade. My father had a 3rd grade education, and my stepfather had no education.
Wow. Okay, because that's a very important piece of this. So
I
your
know.
your mother didn't finish high school, and or she had a 3rd grade education, or was that your
No,
father?
my mother had maybe a 10th grade education, but my mother is very bright. She could have gone to college.
Mm.
And in fact, in her old age now, she's 90. She lives with me. At one point, she told me all about her college and the red car she had and all of these things that she probably dreamed of having at some point. But in her mind, she had those things.
Right.
And but my father had a 3rd grade education, was always a hard worker. But I was a teen before I got to know him really well. But I did get to know him, and I was able to take him to Washington, D.C., to the Smithsonian. And during the time I was on the faculty at Princeton, I took him to New York and to Princeton. And so
That's another thing that's very important, point as well too. And I just want to bring it up here for that reason. And it's gonna come up. You're gonna see more and more and more. But I like what she did. Same thing with Larry Elder. Same thing too. Look, people. Look, women and men, having a child is a life changing thing. Like I said. But what I like about it is she seeked out her father, and I've seen a lot of stories like that because I always see this stuff when they're like, "Oh, you weren't there for us, Dad." Most of the cases you find, at first I used to be like, "Okay, yeah, the man was a deadbeat, whatever." There's many times I found out that the guy was trying his best to be in his children's life, and the mother made it a living hell, a living nightmare to see his own kids. And I never heard a kid say, again, you didn't give me enough money for me to know. It was like, you weren't there. You was not there for me. You feel abandonment. You feel resentment. That's what a lot of anger swell up from both men and women. And I'm happy that she went back and connect with her father and take him out and show him what her stuff. Yeah, like I said, me and my father, we are cool. Had our rough patches, but still we are cool. I don't have that resentment for him. And then sometimes maybe because you guys couldn't work together, the marriage didn't work out, whatever. All right, be a co-parent. You don't gotta be in each other's business, but you created this kid in this world. Take care of this child. Give him the man's perspective. Give him the female's perspective, boy or girl. Let them know what's going on. The best situation will be married and in a committed relationship with both of you. If that ain't happening, still have that commitment because you guys are locked together with this child. Half his DNA is in there, so is yours. Come on.
to enjoy some of my success.
So your journey
Awesome.
to becoming Dr. Carol Swain, it would imply that you finished high school right away, but you didn't finish high school right away. Is that correct?
I didn't. And the thing about me and my siblings, we all dropped out of school after completing the 8th grade. For some reason, we made it to the 8th grade. Everyone dropped out. And for myself, I married at 16, had my first child at 17. And when I got married at 16, I was not pregnant. It was important to me, even then, to be married when I had my child.
Interesting.
Thank you. That is amazing. Back at those times, it was rough and everything. She still thought that was important. That's what I preach. That's why I have no child. Came close a couple of times because some women tried to trick me into it. Including the first girlfriend I ever had lied on me and said I had a child, and the DNA said nope. As Medina said, Dana said that ain't my child. I said, "Oh, thank you," because it wasn't. But still, no, it was important. She even back then, she was right. It was important. That's what And that's the part I wanted to push right there. Apologize for that. But yeah, that's very important. And she noticed, even though she was a child, she even noticed that, and she even acknowledged that that was important. That's man, young kids, trust me, this is what it is. Do not get pushed into this nonsense.
And maybe it was it was a different era, but that was important to me. And so I had my first child at 17. By the time I was 20, I had 3 small children. And I ended up, part of my story I tell sometime is that during that time in my life, I suffered from depression. I do suicide gestures, which meant I would go through the medicine cabinet. I would take bottles of pills. And, I should have died of all of that, except God had a plan for my life, that was bigger than me. There's no way I would have known that I had a future that would include college and who I am today. But I struggled deeply. But after one of those suicide gestures, and I would call them suicide gestures because I always made sure I was rescued. And I said, don't try that. It may not always work. You may not get rescued. But I would call it a suicide gesture. That's what the doctors called it. And there was my physician was an intern. And he told me I was intelligent, I was attractive, I could do more with my life. And I had forgotten that when I was in school, that I did really well.
What do you think now that you can look at things in the retrospect, which adds so much clarity to a lot of the actions and the feelings that we had? What do you think was actually leading to that? That unhappiness, these suicide gestures, this looking for a way out. What do you think was
Well, let
leading
me
to
tell
those
you
emotions?
this. As a child, I never felt that I fit in. And I didn't feel like I fit in with my family. And I was very, very shy. My mother said I used to hide behind furniture and I'd peer out. And I can remember being so shy or so afraid that I would literally forget how to speak. And I would want something. I might be hungry. I might want water. I might want something. And I was like frozen. And you heard that expression, cat got your tongue. That's what it was like for me. And it was like, so I did not have voice as a child. And I don't know whether it was fear. I don't know what held me back, but I didn't fit in. But I always had a sense of there's something I'm supposed to do.
Mm.
And my mother said I was more serious than any of her other children, and that the things that came out of my mouth did not appear to come from a child. And I always had a sense that my mother was afraid of me.
A precocious child
I
who's
don't know,
quiet.
but and then sometimes I would challenge my mother. My mother was an alcoholic, and so I was always challenging her about being a better mother.
As you were a child. Yeah, that's really funny because my parents always tell me stories and I was super precocious and they think I was an alien because and before I could speak, they thought that I could understand them and I would be standing at the crib watching them speak back and forth.
And that what Candace is talking about is why I say this thing. A lot of parents need to understand this. I'm not a parent. I raised my sister, but I saw this through my nieces, nephews, and stuff like that. You might say what you want to say, but kids keep on learning. That's why a lot of, like I said, with the single moms things, I'm saying, when a lot of these boys picking up certain things they should not really be picking up per se, you can say all the stuff you want, but they're still watching you and learning. They're still watching you and learning. That's literally what Candace said, and that's what I'm talking about. I want to, like I said, I want to skip to another part right here, which is very important.
Very abusive. And I wanted the independence, the financial independence. And so even though I'm very creative and I wanted to do art, and I'd won blue ribbons as a student, I was told to be practical. And so I did business. And that was much more difficult because math was harder without the high school background. And then for the 4-year degree, and this is something that I don't talk much about, but okay, the 4-year degree, I chose criminal justice because it had the least amount of math. But I knew that I was good in anything that was not so quantitative. And I made a decision that I was going to be an honest student. I was working at the community college library, Virginia Western, full time, 40 hours a week, nights and weekends. I checked out books. I purchased books on how to make A's in college, how to take essay exams, how to to answer objective questions. And I ended up graduating magna cum laude while working 40 hours a week at that community college library. And as I was graduating with the criminal justice degree, was in the highest honor society and later inducted into Phi Beta Kappa, I could have ended my education there, but I decided at the time that I was going to work for the government and that I needed a master's degree. And while I was getting the master's degree in college, the professors took an interest in me because I was talented. They encouraged me to get a PhD. I was not interested. I kept applying for jobs. And even though I was an honor student, known all over the city, had started getting media attention, I could not get a job. And this was the era of affirmative action. This was the 1980s when affirmative action, an honest student, all of this stuff, and I presented well, I could not get a job. And so the way I would interpret that now is that God had a plan for my life. People steered me towards academia. I was shy. I could not imagine myself teaching. And my image of a teacher is someone that goes to the blackboard, and all this flair, and they write all these things. And I was so shy that just the whole idea, I didn't like my handwriting, of turning my back to a class where people might be laughing and making fun of me and all of this stuff. It was not my idea of how I wanted to live, but I got steered into academia. My professors told me what I needed to do to be successful. I always mentored well, and I always sought the people that were doing what I wanted to do, the ones that were doing it well. And so when they told me what I needed to do to be successful in political science, you need to write articles, you need to have creative ideas, you need to give conference papers, I did everything they told me to do. And by the time I was graduating, I was known across the country. I ended up with my own short list, and I got a signing bonus from Princeton and
Wow.
from every school except one. University of Michigan did not make an offer to me, but by the time I interviewed there, I had 4 or 5 offers anyway, and they knew I wasn't going to Michigan.
There you go. And so your story is one of remarkable hard work. And kind of getting into the driver's seat of your own life, because it could have gone a different way for you, obviously, with the upbringing that you had. And typically now, especially in society, these are excuses. You could have said, I grew up poor, I have parents that didn't have high school degrees, I'm Black, society, I'm coming up in a society as a Black woman, and yet you instead were at the library checking out books, working really hard to get where you are today. So let me ask you a question. How have things changed? Because you have an interesting story where you got to go through the system and get rewarded based off of your hard work. And then you got to teach in the school systems.
Right.
And when did you stop teaching? How many years ago?
Just two or three years ago.
So you're seeing a very, I would imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, a
Except
drastically different society.
I never stopped teaching.
You never stopped teaching.
The world is my classroom.
That's correct. We're teaching right now.
I have millions of PragerU students.
The world
all
is your
different
teacher.
ages.
Yeah, as your students
The world
now.
is my classroom.
Yeah.
But I want to say something else. How it was different.
Yeah.
When I started my 4-year college, which is Roanoke College in Salem, Virginia, there were probably about 20 some Blacks.
This is the part again that proves what I'm gonna say. Listen to this carefully. Prove them wrong. You can't do this. Prove them wrong. You got nothing else to lose.
And a lot of them were on the basketball team. But the Black students met me, and they were very well-meaning, but they told me who all the racist professors were to avoid. And my personality is such, those are the ones I signed up for. And the person that was my advisor, he was one of the ones that was supposed to be the racist professor. And he did tell me during the orientation period not to expect to do as well in his class at Roanoke College as I had done in the past. because Roanoke College was a really hard school. And to me, that was like throwing the gauntlet down. And so I ended up getting a B plus in the first class I took with him. And in my mind, I probably made an A minus, but I felt like he was a professor that wasn't going to give an A on the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And then every class I took with him after that, I made an A. And so all through my college, I would be met by Black students who told me which professors to take and which ones were racist. I always took the ones they said were racist. And they turned out to be conservatives. And because of that, I was exposed to literature and ideas and thoughts that I don't think I would have gotten the same education that if I had followed the other students, I might be a Marxist right now.
Right. Yeah. That's
Thomas
interesting that
Sowell.
you say that, right? Because that's very much like Thomas Sowell started as a Marxist, right? And I think that's because a lot of times in these classes, and it's not just, towards Black Americans, you can always find some ism and some reason that they tell you that you're less than and you can't. Now there's feminism, there's racism, there's, just.
Well, right. Well, when I got to graduate school, I tell this story. That was when all the mentors I had had before, and a lot of them were white, a lot of them were white men that were older, but everyone treated me like I could do anything, and I felt like I could do anything. But when I got to graduate school and I took a course, and it just happens to be was taught by a white female, was very liberal. I remember her screaming at me
White leftists.
one day, "You'll never be able to change the fact that you're a Black woman." I don't know what I said in that class or what I did that caused her to scream at me like that, but the message was that you're Black, you're handicapped, and there's nothing you can do about it. You're a Black woman. But it was graduate school, and the theories of oppression was when I learned you're poor, you're Black, you have children, you're female, you're oppressed. And by then I was already successful. It was too late. But had I gotten those messages as an undergraduate, I'm just
True.
not sure if I would have
True.
how I would have dealt with it. But then my personality is such that I sought out the professors that were supposed to be against me because I was going to show them.
Right. And
Prove them wrong.
there you go. And I think it's interesting that you say
Thank
that you're
you.
not sure.
That's what I say. Prove them wrong. That's what you gotta do. Work hard to prove them wrong. That's my number one advice to young black kids and black seriously, just prove them wrong. I want to jump to another section right here. Again, I'll put this video and everything down in the raw file. Again, raw file, you can watch the whole thing. Again, it's PragerU, Candace Owens Show. You can watch it. The person you'll see is called Carol Swain, and her story is good and needs to be things. So let me jump to another part, which is kind of proves my point. Sorry, but it does. So let me that I have it here. I have timestamp to about there. Let's go.
Critical right now in terms of what's going on in American society? What do you deem as the most important thing for us to tackle as Americans?
Well, I think for the two of us and those that are speaking, we're standing in between whites and Blacks trying to bring people together. We're sort of being interpreters. The destructive thing that's happening is the messages that young Black people are being given about our society. Like the Smithsonian, I don't know if you remember, they had that exhibit where they were saying that if you believed in hard work.
And I did a video about that. We did a video about that.
Punctuality.
And individual initiative and standard English, planning for the future, all the things that have made us successful. They're saying if you believe in success principles, that's white. Yeah. And it used to be, if you studied hard and you made A's, you were trying to be white. Now, all of a sudden, you had a Smithsonian, you have these institutions, you have these colleges and universities sending out the message that everything that makes for success is whiteness and it's bad. That is so destructive.
And the opposite,
Amen.
Of course, which is like everything that leads to destruction is good somehow. Like, so going back to your point about
Being a
them pushing
thug.
through ebonics, is
Yeah.
what I think you were hitting at. They're
See?
trying to push through ebonics as a course to learn, because even speaking proper English is attributes of whiteness and something that should be ignored. And yeah, also on that list of the Smithsonian was punctuality,
Well, let
showing
me
up
tell you
on
this.
time.
I want to get this in on your show.
Yeah.
I have reached the conclusion that progressives hate blacks.
Mhm.
And here's why. Progressives, if you go back, at the turn of the century, they were pushing the eugenics. They were pushing the sterilization. They pushed the abortions through Planned Parenthood.
Another thing that people didn't understand is you need to go and look and see how the minimum wage was set up. But again, white leftists who at the time pushed, they wanted bad people, but also they wanted black people to not make money. So they pushed the minimum wage. Minimum wage was set up to say, okay, you have a minimum wage, you can't hire nobody lower than this. So that means they want to hire black people. It's an interesting history. And as I said before to another person, a person actually, why I always talk about the past. Those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. I will learn from this and teach this to you guys and other people, because I don't want this to happen to anybody. Learn from this. Again, hard work, proving people wrong, keeping yourself out of trouble. If you're different, being precocious as she said, that's not a problem. But just being different is not a problem. But don't if somebody is saying, oh, you're whatever, I don't want a person to look at me. No, I don't want a person to look at my skin color and say, oh, he's a black person, blah blah blah. That's the white the white supremacists on the right, where people's like, oh, I don't want no black people around here, or Negroes, blah blah blah. Okay, and again, those people are dangerous. There's limit of them, and I gotta worry about them because they don't want me. So once they tell me, hey, that's what you don't want, I stay away from them. But it's the one that's on the left that's dangerous, because they're the one who pretend that you whatever, and they look at you as a pet. And as I've said it multiple times, I'm showing multiple videos, and I'm like I said, letting her finish what she's saying.
They pushed defunding police, knowing that more black people would die because of the crime in their neighborhoods and the victimization rates. They push the protests, being out there. At the same time, they're saying if you're black, you're a person of color, the virus loves you and the virus is going to kill you. They're saying, except when you're protesting, it's okay to be out there. If you really believed the things that they say, and then shutting down the schools. When you shut down the public schools and say everyone can learn online, who are you hurting the most? Everything that progressives do hurt people of color more than any other group. And so what bothers me the most is that there's so many black people, Congressional Black Caucus, black leaders that are cooperating with the destruction of their own people.
And I'll show you that a little later on.
Why? I get at this all the time. Why? When I see the Black
Self-interest.
Caucus and they sit...
Self-interest.
Money.
Okay.
They have always, there's always been a disjunction.
Money. It's always been money. What's my clip my clip here?
And let you in as opposed to breaking it.
Fair enough. That's interesting.
Yeah.
This is why.
Well, but yeah, and the other thing, so you're the sort of person that has this power and you don't want to use it to mess with the election?
I want money.
You threw out a tweet from Donald Trump on election day?
That won't get me money.
Early in the morning?
But I want money.
That's true. It wouldn't get you money, but man, you could have an effect on the election.
I don't want an effect. I want money.
That's what it's all about. And what she said, it's all about the money.
Juncture between what the black rank and file believe and what the leaders. Their leaders are elites, regardless of their race. They push what benefits them. And what we need in America, and for the generation of, your generation and the people, behind you even, we need statesmen and stateswomen to run for office, people that don't want to be politicians. They're not trying, to become Maxine Waters or these people that go into Congress dirt poor and then all of a sudden they have $6 million homes. How did that happen? It doesn't happen, based on that congressional salary.
Of course
So we
not.
really do need a new cadre of leaders. And I am a strong believer in America's Judeo-Christian roots. I think that one reason we were successful, we were the envy of the world, is because people had values and principles, and it was based in our laws. And now, we can't even tell the difference between a male and a female. And progressives, you see how they use science. When it benefits them, they are into science. But then when it comes to the differences between a male and female and the DNA, then all of a sudden they don't trust science.
Right, but they trust science in terms of potentially predicting the doom and gloom of climate change in 100 million years from now. And it's going to happen, and all of this can happen because we can predict the weather somehow years from now, even though we can't even predict it at the end of this week, right?
Thank you.
But you're exactly right. They abandon science when it comes to very basic concepts that.
So I'll leave it to that. Again, this video, the entirety and everything, just because it's an incredible story. You can, down below, when you go to the channel, Project Open on YouTube, there's a playlist called The Raw File. By tomorrow, you will see these videos in that raw file. Again, all the money, all the monetization goes to these people. I do not monetize my channel. It's just for self-teaching purposes and everything, like a teachable moment, I should say, for that. So again, incredible story. Just let you know about that. So let's go to where should I go to next? Speaking about that, I gotta play my music. Let's see if I can cancel it out a little bit. So give me a second. I'll cancel it out a little bit. I played this clip a while back. I don't want you to hear it again. I want to hear you again. What Herman Cain said. Again, what you gotta do, you don't just whatever, you prove them wrong.
A college student asked me one time, how did you deal with color and race when you were climbing the corporate ladder? My answer, I didn't. Let them deal with it. I didn't focus on that. I didn't have time. I went to the president of the Pillsbury Company and said, you need to get involved in some other aspects of the corporation because I want to run one of the business units one day. So he said, we need a lot of leadership in Burger King. You have to go and spend 2 weeks at Whopper College. There really is a Whopper College in Miami. I graduated summa cum laude. I was working for the Department of the Navy. The same day that I started, another white gentleman named Robert started working there also. We had very similar jobs. For the first 12 months, I got outstanding performance 4 quarters in a row. Second year, outstanding performance 4 quarters in a row. And Robert got outstanding performance. But Robert was getting his GS salary increase at least 2 months sooner than me. So I went to Wayne, my supervisor, and said, Robert and I are both doing a great job. He said, yeah. But why is he getting little increases quicker than me? He said, he has a master's degree. I said, oh, it's not because he's white? Nope. He has a master's degree. So you know what I did? I didn't get mad.
No.
I went and got me a master's degree.
Prove them wrong.
There are only 4 rungs to this ladder. Went back, sat down with Wayne. I said, well, I got a master's degree. I said, the next time you have opening for a promotion, I said, keep me in mind. See you around. And not long after that, they had a special project called a Rocket Assisted Projector. They had to have someone who was going to be the GS-13 supervisory mathematician to do the special ballistics on this rocket assisted projector. I got the promotion. And I had 8 white people working for me. It was all about performance, not the color of your skin.
Thank you.
So since I now had that master's degree and I had proved myself, I got the job. When I decided to leave Dalvern, never forget the department head, and he called me in for an exit interview. And I never forget Russ. I think he's deceased now. He said, you know, you have taught me something. I said, what? He said, I had never worked with a black person before. You taught me don't judge somebody by the color of their skin.
Exactly. Exactly. That's why I play that. Prove people wrong. That's all you gotta do. You can only control yourself. Like I've said multiple times, and I will be keep saying that. So what you do, if they give you a little thing so you can't do it, you do it yourself. Go ahead. Go to the extra classes. Put in an extra work. If you could quantitatively see what you put in and the other person could put in, then of course you could say, well, hey, I put in more work in, like Herman Cain said, put it towards that and say, okay, well, this could be whatever. Because again, if you could quantify what you're doing more work or more time than the other person, you can get. I mean, it's illegal. Then you could get a lawsuit or whatever get done. That's why I always kill when women are, when, some of these women will be like, oh, we get paid 70 cents to the dollar and all that stuff, which is a lie. And so like stuff, I said, if that's the case, then the business, one, is illegal to do that. Two, if that's the case, if I was a business, I'd be hiring on women because if it was cheaper to raise have you than men. But no, it's not. So let's keep it 100 here. All right? Another person who grew up in the South, who had a rough time, but made it through. I gotta give it to is basically, let me go here. Again, another thing that's pretty cool.
Thomas Sowell was born in
Thomas Sowell.
Gastonia, North Carolina on June 30th, 1930. The Great Depression was just getting underway. And like many blacks in the South at the time, his family had no electricity, no central heating, and no hot running water. Sowell's father died before Tom was born. And his mother, a maid, died in childbirth just a few years later.
He was adopted by his great aunt and raised by her and her 2 daughters. So he was raised by 3 women.
My whole career would not have been possible without the particular family in which I was raised, which was not composed of educated people. I mean, nobody in that family had ever graduated from high school, and most did not graduate from grade school. But they were interested in education, and they were interested in me.
Tom was raised by a great aunt and her adult children. The family moved to New York City's Harlem neighborhood, a migration that exposed him to better schools and more opportunities than were available to blacks in the segregated South.
My great fear is that a black child growing up in Harlem today will not have as good a chance to rise as people of my generation did, simply because they will not receive as solid an education in an era when such an education is even more important.
Yep.
When Thomas Sowell was 8 years old, his family moved from North Carolina to New York City and settled here at 720 St. Nicholas Avenue in the neighborhood of Harlem. The building looks pretty much the same as it did more than 80 years ago when the Sowells moved in. Young Tommy, as he was called, ventured out into a big city for the very first time. He rode double-decker buses and learned to cross busy streets, all by himself.
We were much poorer than the people in Harlem or most anywhere else today. It was my last year or 2 at home that we finally had a telephone. We had a radio. We never had a television. But in another sense, in the sense of the things you need to get ahead, I was enormously more fortunate than most black kids today.
Here he said, poor, didn't have the technology, didn't have all that stuff. He was more fortunate back then than he was these kids today. Think about it. Think how profound that is. Think how messed up that is as well, too. How that work? That this guy could do that. Crazy how that could work. That he think that. And it's sad that that's the truth.
While coming of age in Harlem, Sowell discovered the magic of education. thanks to a family friend named Eddie Mapp.
In Harlem, there was a kid named Eddie that members of the family had run into before I ever arrived from North Carolina. He came from a highly educated family, and they immediately saw the implications if they could get him to mentor me.
Eddie brought Tom here to the Harlem Public Library, taught him how to find books that interested him, taught him how to check them out.
And I saw all these books, and I had no idea why we were there when I didn't have any money to buy one book. And so what am I going to do with all these, hundreds of books up on the shelf?
Crossing the threshold to this new world was the first step on a path young Tommy might not otherwise have taken.
And he very patiently walked me through the whole thing. And again, I was very reluctant to take out a library card because I didn't know what all this is about. But he talked me into it. Then I borrowed a couple of books. And really, had I not encountered him, the entire rest of the story could not have been the way it was. I mean, at some point, I would have learned what a public library was. But by that point, it would be too late.
I'm not gonna play this tonight, but I'll do a video about this as well. So I want to do little videos of this about people I know who break the barrier, who crack the curse, the black curse. Because the reason is there's a guy I know from Jamaica who, because a white guy taught him how to fly, he became the youngest pilot. He's in the book of records, the youngest pilot to fly around the world in a single, I think it's a single prop air plane. Got a Guinness Book World Record and everything, because somebody introduces something. It doesn't matter the color, the race of the person, like I always stated, it doesn't. And also, what Thomas Sowell is what happened to me too, as well too. When I got, like I said, I said the story. My mom, she got Encyclopedia Britannica, and she's, at that time, $2,000 was not easy, but she got $2,000 together and did that. And I'm hopefully I could get my mom when she comes up here to talk, to talk about stuff like that. But that right there helped me. Like I used to go through each book every other night or so, like that. Oh, night of that. Give me a second there. Every other night or so. And just read pages. What does this mean? What does that mean? That's how my precocious mind happened. Like I was looking at stuff. I didn't have a TV and all of that stuff, but TV as well too, like Thomas Sowell. So I was like looking at these books and just like, wow, this means this. What does that mean? What all that stuff mean? Like that helps me. Another example is like if I get new product, I don't have it up here, but if I get new products, I always read the manual. For something like that, I just, even up to this day, I still do it. I just got me new tool set. I read the manuals. Do I need to read it? Maybe, maybe not. A lot of people are like, I know what this does. No, I want to know the functions of everything just to make sure I understand it. I'm that precocious of a person. That's why I said, I know people say, "Oh, you're ignorant." Ignorant doesn't mean that you're stupid. Ignorant just means you're unknowledgeable of of a specific topic. And I am always good. All of us are always going to be ignorant of depending on the topic. That's just what it is. We got to figure out. But we have knowledge. They say knowledge is power. But you know what? Wisdom is empowerment. Gaining experience and learning and doing the work can get you to do many great things. Just saying. Let's say Thomas, and this video is also pretty good too. Let me see. I want to jump to another spot. Is scene 23 because of what he said had me laughing.
Ways in which the market,
and it also proves my point.
Market does and doesn't work. The idea, that people are rational on the whole. And that if you allow those people to operate in the marketplace, you'll generally get better results.
The Chicago School of Economics is where Tom says he understood the importance of discipline and the importance of getting hard data. In fact, he talks more positively about his experience at University of Chicago than at Harvard, where he says a lot of people, in his opinion, went on emotion. Tom was a Marxist when he took a course with Milton Friedman, and at the end of the course, he remained a Marxist. But what he appreciated was that at University of Chicago, economics was a full contact sport where you had to defend.
Before I go any further, again, you're gonna see this what I'm gonna do with a woman too. Ta, a white man teaching this young black man the knowledge that he could do stuff. Call it ain't make no difference. Teach something.
Economics was a full contact sport where you had to defend your position rigorously, otherwise you got wasted. And so at least Tom Sowell said he came out understanding the importance of hard data.
I mean, I was still a Marxist after taking Milton Friedman's course. But one summer in the government was enough to let me say, no, this government is really not the answer. I mean, that is...
Milton Friedman didn't cure you, but the federal government did.
The federal government did. So never say the federal government doesn't do anything. My first professional job, I was a summer intern at the U.S. Department of Labor. One of my biggest concerns was about minimum wages. At first, I thought, well, this is good because all these people are poor and they'll get a little higher income, and so that'll be helpful. And then as I studied economics, I began to see, well, there's a downside. They may lose their jobs completely, so that is that. When I was at the Labor Department, I tried to talk about that to them, and eventually I came up with some test of it. And when I came up with how we might test this, I was waiting to hear congratulations, you see, that I had this. And I could see these people were stunned. They said, oh, this idiot has stumbled on something that will ruin us all.
You see how it is. He found a better way to do something and get people out of stuff. And of course, bureaucracy and the government gonna be like, oh man, you're gonna take away our power. We should not be talking about this.
And I realized the U.S. Department of Labor had its own agenda and interests, and that did not necessarily mean that whether poor people lost their jobs for minimum wages or got higher pay was their highest priority.
Thank you.
Tom Sowell looked at the data, and the data found that minimum wage hikes cause people who are unskilled to lose jobs. He found out that people in the government didn't give a rip whether or not it worked or didn't work. They were simply implementing the policy. And that's what shocked him and caused him to begin to rethink lots of his assumptions. So it wasn't academia that caused him to become more conservative. It was real life working for the government.
And that's why you see people talking about, oh, we're going to raise the minimum wage to $15. Again, McDonald's, Walmart, remember these stores, Lowe's, Home Depot, these stores are open. These are franchise, big corporations. Remember, these are, and I was killing when a lot of these young kids like, oh, we need to stop the big corporation. The big corporation profited crazy last year. And if you raise, they could do the minimum wage $15. And if you raise the $15, you know what happened? The mom and pops, the small business, which makes up 80% of the tax, which is, they don't care for some stupid reason, but that's the reason you get money. The government workers get money with taxes, but whatever. But the mom and pops, the small business, whatever, they can't do it. Again, people always think, oh, well, this guy, he run a restaurant. The owner, he might get $50,000. No, majority of restaurant owners, they don't make money in the first year, never less than third or fourth, maybe the sixth and fifth they make money. They just make enough just to pay their bills before the restaurant get established and they start making money. They have to pay other people. And again, the dumb part about it, people always forget too, because of payroll tax, you are not worth $15. You're worth way more than that. But you see, if you see, we try to take that away. A certain president tried to stop that. Y'all, didn't want that to happen. So you could get more money. And that's what happened. The business does not, just to hire you, the business got to pay a tax in a majority of states just to hire you to the government. See how asinine that is. But again, Thomas Sowell and her and Carol, they went on, blacks, slave, was in poor, whatever. They went on and got multiple degrees. I think Carol has 5 degrees. So again, they went on to do that. Here's another black who sadly passed away last year. But they don't want this. They don't want that to happen either.
Syndicated column, or another book on his favored topics: race, and economics.
Walter
Buenos
Williams.
tardes, Los Angeles. Larry Elder here, the sage from South Central, the Prince of Pico Union, the Czar of
Walter has long enjoyed his participation on radio and television.
This is one of the problems that Black Americans face. That is, many of us,
we feel that we can achieve salvation through the political arena. That is by putting a Black person in charge of our lives. And if you ask the question,
in what cities in our country do Black people receive the worst education,
are most insecure in their lives, live under rotten conditions, they are the very cities where a Black is the mayor,
the chief of police, is the superintendent of schools. And I'm not saying that there's a
causal relationship between that, but I'm saying that there's
not much salvation to be achieved through the political arena.
My guest is Professor Walter Williams. He is an economics professor, teaches at George Mason University.
If I say to the federal government, I will pay my share of the constitutionally mandated functions of the federal government, I will be happily, but I will not have my earnings go to farmers, go to bail out big banks. You'll see all the intimidation, threats, and oppression that I would want to see.
I think America meets any normal person's basic definition of we are living in a free society here. This is not Plato's Republic. This is not the Soviet Union.
We're not living in a free society.
Always controversial and popular, Walter has inspired students and colleagues alike.
I first was introduced to Walter Williams when I saw him on television. It was in, I believe, spring of 1981.
Professor Williams is saying, among other things, that perhaps the Great Society programs and the whole idea of government as father or paternal has not been in the best interests of all people, minorities.
Yeah. And then Walter said a statement that I will never forget. He said to Phil Donahue, he said, Phil, who owns you? Who owns your life? He said, John Locke asked this question centuries ago, and I ask you and everybody in this audience, who owns your life? Right then and there, I said, oh, I love this guy. Who is this guy? I didn't know who he was. I didn't even know his name at the time. Then they flashed Dr. Walter Williams, George Mason University, under his picture on the TV, and that night I then called Walter. I called the department and I said, "Can I speak to Walter Williams?" And he was there in his office, and I said, "I want to study economics under you."
So food stamps cause illegitimate babies, then? Huh?
No. Sexual intercourse does.
Nights can be heavenly.
In 1936. He spent his early boyhood with his mother and his sister Catherine. In 1947, the family moved into the Richard Allen Housing Project in North Philadelphia, one of the city's first federally funded housing projects for working-class families.
My mother was very, very important. She was the one who made the sacrifices to make sure that we got a reasonably good education given our income and given our circumstances. Even though we were poor, my mother used to always tell us, look, we have a beer pocketbook, but we have champagne taste.
Walter's father was largely absent and offered almost no financial support. With the little he did provide, and Catherine Williams' part-time job as a domestic servant, the family got by. They were part of the welfare state, but they were never a part of the welfare ideology.
She and her sisters were very determined people and demanded a whole lot out of us as kids. At that time, blacks were very demanding of their children in terms of education and responsibility.
I think part of the reason that my dad is who he is has a lot to do with her and his upbringing with her. One of the reasons she's, kind of inspirational for him is because she did a lot with the little that she had.
There were different values, of hard work and sacrifice and respect. And many of those values are absent today among Americans in general, and very often, and even more so among young Americans who are black. This is Parish Drive.
Okay.
Where it's one of the streets that went into the project. And it was much different then. That is, it wasn't the kind of crime, it wasn't the broken families. Matter of fact, my sister and I were the only kids in this whole neighborhood that only had one parent in the house.
Yeah, I'm sure that's not the case now.
Walter's grandmother was the daughter of slaves. His mother never graduated from high school. Still, Catherine Williams introduced her son and daughter to as much culture as her pocketbook would allow.
I promised.
You seen the story I'm talking about? If it was not that straight, but you know what? You can do it. Introduce them to something different. Introduce them to different things that's going on.
On weekends, she would take her children to the Philadelphia Museum of Art, the Free Library, and the Franklin Institute.
I was the first in the family to graduate from high school, but I wasn't always serious in school. I remember the counselor told my mother, as soon as he gets this foolishness out of him, he's really going to go somewhere.
And the irony is that people who do that are congratulating themselves to this day for having created the welfare state with no thought about what was the collateral damage, and are the small things that you were able to do for people worth that damage?
What we find is the basic economic principle, and that is, if you tax something, you're going to get less of it. And if you subsidize it, you're going to get more of it. And what we've been doing is subsidizing slovenly behavior.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what we're doing.
In the 1940s, almost any youngster, black or white, who wanted to work found a job. At the age of 10, Walter was shining shoes. In high school, he delivered mail and packed shipping orders for the Sears Roebuck department store.
If I wanted to go to the movies, or if I wanted to go to the amusement park, there was no money from a mother to give us to go to the amusement park.
Yeah, you need money.
And so we had to work.
One of Walter's favorite jobs was at the Horn and Hardart Automat in the heart of downtown Philadelphia. Once the world's largest restaurant chain, the Automat, with its iconic coin-operated machines, was America's original fast food restaurant.
I thought the Horn and Hardart was a wonderful job. Horn and Hardart was a very, very famous restaurant in Philadelphia. And the good thing about working at Horn and Hardart, here I am with 14 or 15 years old, you could eat all you want. And the way to an adolescent's heart is by giving them lots of food.
Walter's first real job was at the You Need a Hat Company, where he taught himself to operate an electric sewing machine.
Look at that.
When his
all the stuff this young man did back then in tough times to get what he got to get. That's my point. Work hard. Do your side job. People call it side hustling. The word hustle means something illegal, but do your side job. Get your side company up. Different incomes. Learn stuff. That's why I did music. That's why I still went to school to do architecture. That's why I'm learning how to fly drones right now and all kind of stuff. And that's why I'm doing this radio show. It's not to make the money really, but it's just something I like to do. And I did it because I did have a Radio T3 and it worked out for me. And that's why I'm doing that. But he passed away last year. Again, another good video to go watch and listen. I like what he said in the video, which is basically the government should have no thing to your should have no power over what you can create. Really, it shouldn't. And I'm gonna give you a next, and everybody showed you Walter, and I showed you Thomas Sowell, that a white man was there, and then whatever. Like I said, the content of the person. I'll show you. I did brought this up one time before. I'll bring this up again. Excuse me. Let me bring up this woman right here, Susan Shank. Susan Shank is based. She has the power to. She started her own company.
Black Excellence presentation. We will highlight 10 things you didn't know about Suzanne Shank.
Welcome to blackexcellist.com, the site where we celebrate Black excellence, opulence, and affluence.
Shank's story is a fascinating one and shows how talent, hard work, and the ability to embrace change can have remarkable outcomes. She's broken through the glass ceiling that holds women back, especially Black women, and she has gone on to be the chairwoman and CEO of Siebert Cisneros Shank & Company. Under her watch and from her offices in Detroit, Her firm has grown tremendously by arranging billions upon billions in financing for airports, roads, schools, and other municipal and corporate projects across the nation. Her determination shows us that no matter what barriers are in front of you, you can break through them. This powerful Black woman is one to remember, as her trailblazing ways will continue to inspire and nurture more and more great minds in the African American community.
That's if people know about her. Not many people know about her.
This original,
because her company controls $2 trillion. That's a lot of power that this Black woman has.
Black Excellence video, we will be featuring Suzanne Shank. So without further ado,
sorry about that. Just going through the stuff, like stated.
1. Suzanne is a native of Savannah, Georgia. Growing up in a middle-class family as an only child in Savannah, Georgia, Suzanne Shank was a gifted child who could read by the age of 3. She excelled at math and science and was quite an overachiever.
And to point out this before I keep on going, she's one of the many Blacks, I ain't gonna say few, many Blacks who did saw the opportunities in America as a Black American, just like Thomas Sowell and all those guys did the same thing and took the opportunity and used it.
A straight-A student, cheerleader, homecoming queen, school newspaper editor, and valedictorian of the class of 1979. Her parents, Mary and Roger Shank, were her role models and instilled into her incredible work ethics.
And I gotta say that too. That's always the thing when people are like, oh, what's your role model, whatever. When people say, I don't want my kid, if I ever have a child, look up to Barack Obama, Michelle, look up to them. No, their role model should be me and my wife. That's who it should be. Like that, just like she just stated, that's who it should be. Maybe get some ideas and say, okay, wow, from other people, but their role model should be moi and my wife. That's it. That's why I said I didn't look over the first Black president. Whoopee. Don't care. I care about the policies. That's what I care about.
Her mom, a graduate of Spelman College, held a master's degree and would become assistant school superintendent. Her father was Georgia's first Black bus driver, which helped him land a position as head of the Regional Transit Authority. Almost 35 years after graduating from high school, Shank would return to Savannah to structure a $15 million refinancing deal for the Savannah Airport project in 2013.
I want to skip to something else.
Her best mentor. Seabird, who was the first woman to own a seat on the New
Hey guys.
Annoying says
would advocate taking risk is sometimes what we have to do to advance our career. Shank worked closely alongside the Wall Street legend Muriel Mickey Seabird.
See again, a white person. That's what I'm saying. You see what I'm trying to say? Where the people are like, oh, the white man's bad, or the white woman's bad. No. Now, white progressives and leftists, yeah, they got a problem. You got to take care of them. But you look. Dissemination of information should not be by color. It should be by integrity and by the person, no matter what. And these people, you saw they use Milton Friedman and everything to learn their stuff.
Absorbing as much as she could from the first woman of finance. The knowledge and experience she gained from Seabird was a critical and large part of Shank's success. Shank acknowledges the late Mickey as a wonderful business partner, mentor, and friend. Shank is paying it forward by being a role model to her employees, committing extensive amount of time to mentor young people in Detroit, and supporting several mentorship programs for inner city youth across America. 7. Suzanne is a very successful businesswoman.
And also a mother and stuff, which is good. Praise to her. She has a husband, has 2 beautiful kids. That's the good part. So again, family, good. In contact, that's great. That's what we could do. That's what it is. Also, I want to put up another. I'm gonna do a quick. I'm gonna have to flash this quickly. because the video I want to get into with Larry Larry, because I like to keep my show on the 2 hours as best as I can. Let me see, 99 minutes. Yeah, I'm not. I want to try to keep my show on the 2 hours as best as I can to do for the podcasting sake of being nice. But I could do these could be too, but I gotta give it to this though. A lot of people say horrible things about this man. I don't, because the man did something awesome, and he has respect. But because he went to be this and be a part of this this party and did this, everybody's throwing him under the bus, which is despicable. Okay, I just want you to listen to the first part of this for what he has done, and again, so it's just sad how people, just because your ideology is that, you throw away the greatness they have done. And again, it's not like he did anything bad after the fact. I'll give you an example. Like I said, many times people, like a John McCain, I've said it before. Military guy, he went to war, had his arms, all that stuff. I respect John McCain on that. As a politician, hells to the no. I do not respect him. He was a horrible politician who basically followed everything, follow all the politicians as all politicians. They break rules, that they lied and all that stuff. Told people in Arizona, we're going to do something about Obamacare. He was designed to vote. He said no. I was like, wow, you are a piece of crap. No. As his military service, yes. And I always like the kid when a lot of military guys like, he's a military guy. He's one of our brothers, whatever. Yeah, brothers in arms, I understand that. Doesn't mean that person won't be a problem. Again, you forgot about Hassan, who was the Fort Hood shooter. He was military too, and he went and killed a lot of military people. The thinking is just weird to me. But I want you to hear this first part of this, which is just to get his pass.
I guess you might call it innovative mindset. By asking myself the question, can something be done better?
He really goes into all the potential risks, including death.
We got it out, he's fine.
Thanks to Dr. Carson's skill and faith, he's here today.
You can tell this is old stuff, boy. Whew.
Welcome to Celebrate Life. Today's program is about a very special man with gifted hands. Dr. Ben Carson is a world-famous pediatric neurosurgeon. He specializes in working with children nobody else will help. Gentle Ben, as his fellow surgeons and patients call him, is a true physician. He knows his talents are a gift from God to be used for his glory and honor. In 1986, Dr. Carson performed the first successful brain surgery on a baby in the womb. This helped open the world's eyes to the humanity of every preborn child. As a physician, husband, and father, Gentle Ben is one person making a big difference in the lives of many others.
Well, the thing that is most gratifying for me is to be able to take a child, a family that is devastated by some horrible neurological disease over which they have absolutely no control, and to be privileged by God to play a role in helping to defeat that disease process and restore that individual to a semblance of normality, if not to complete normality, and to restore hope and happiness to that family. Now, whether that be taking out a brain tumor or operating on some congenital malformation or intervening in some significant trauma, trying to get rid of seizures, whatever the case is, it is just as gratifying if the end result is to allow that individual an opportunity at a fuller life. And, life is not something that we as human beings are able to give, but certainly the Lord has blessed many of us with the talent to be able to preserve it through Him. In the case of Lisa Wackersback from Texas, she, at the age of less than 1 year, was involved with intractable seizures, had multitudinous medical interventions, polypharmacy, and absolutely nothing was working. And besides that, she was so doped up from the medication that she was non-functional. So in a situation like that, I personally felt there was very little to lose, although no one was willing to do anything, and that's how she came to our attention. It turned out that we were, in fact, able to go ahead with a hemispherectomy in her case. Hemispherectomy is an operation in which we basically remove the hemisphere on one side of the brain. And this is only done in situations that are desperate, obviously. We would much rather go with more traditional types of therapy. However, when the situation is totally intractable and the seizures have multiplied to the point where they are destructive to a person's lifestyle, then we feel that that type of radical intervention is warranted. It's the fact that you know deep in your heart that you played a role in preserving that spark of life which only God can give.
Suppose there was a choice there to pull the plug or to remove my life because it was no longer a superstar life of running down a football field and using my talents. Well, you don't grow up hoping to be a wheelchair athlete. However, there are a lot of things that we can do with life when given the opportunity.
I'll leave it, like I said, I'll put that video in the description. You guys could go through this as well too. But again, the reason I'm saying that because he was part of the Trump administration and because he's a, as you could say, conservative, as bad as people always say, whatever, and then they told a lot of lies on him. In where he grew up, they wanted to name the school Dr. Carson, and black people was like, no, we don't want any school named named Ben Carson, just because of that stupid part that's happening now, which is he did nothing evil. People think it is, but they're not. So you have a guy who with first surgery in the womb, who separated congenital twins, who did first and miracle, and he's a black man and did stuff. And again, you think the most racist white man will be like, yeah, I don't. He gets something bad. He's like, I don't want no black man working on me. Oh, then Ben Carson's the only person working. Oh, he'll change his mind. Just stupid, like thinking like that. But he also grew up in some bad times, single mom, very violent, almost killed his mom, which is messed up. He was saved by the luck of God. Had the belt buckle snapped off before he hit his. What happened? This dude, but he came and was a wild child, and he became settled down. I praise the man for what he has done. That's awesome that he did all those stuff. Another story what I want to talk about as well too is this. Like I said, that Larry Elder thing I want to get into, like Larry Elder's father, like his story, how it is, and this is what I wanted to play. I'll put this down in the raw file as well too, because he talked to it. It's pretty good. It's 21 minutes, and that's what I say. I don't have the time to go through all of it, but I want to play this one part right here. There's one person, Denzel Washington. You know why he doing it? Because he don't follow. I love that he doesn't follow.
Hollywood, speaking the truth about so-called race relations. Now, don't get me wrong. He's nobody as Republican. He probably wouldn't have voted for Donald Trump if you paid him. But
for black people in particular, do you think that we can truly make change as things are right now?
Well, it starts in the home. You know, if the father's not in the home, the boy will find the father in the streets. Yeah, I saw it in my generation and every generation before me and everyone since. It starts in the home. You know, if the streets raise you, then the judge becomes your mother, and you know, and prison becomes your home.
This interviewer was determined to get Denzel Washington to go BMW. For those of you new to the El Dorado Nation, BMW stands for bitch, moan, and whine, and Denzel Washington wasn't having it.
I want to just ask you, though, about the issue of race relations, because the film touches upon that. Right now, under President Obama, over the last 8 years, in your mind, have race relations improved under his leadership?
Race relationships have to do with race relationships. You're white or whatever you are, I'm black or whatever I am. We're standing here talking now. That's how we get things done. You can't legislate love. The President of the United States can't legislate us into liking each other. We have to step forward and ask questions about each other and engage. There's no law that says, oh, because I'm president, you all got to get along now. So it's up to us.
He tried again. Denzel, talk to me about systemic, institutional, structural, foundational, endemic racism. And Denzel Washington wasn't going with it.
There's been so many protests in America, especially during the election. Black Lives Matter movement, for example, and those issues. Has that movement in particular, the Black Lives Matter movement, helped race relations or not in America?
Well, listen, we live in America, and in America we have the freedom to express ourselves. We shouldn't take that for granted. So whatever the movements are, whether you agree with them or don't, they have the right to express themselves. So that's one of the great things about being in this country, that you do have the right to protest.
You see, here's the deal. Denzel Washington is not a victocrat. He knows damn well why so many blacks are involved in the criminal justice system.
It was something I read where you talked about your people from Mount Vernon saying that, like they've done like 40 years in the penitentiary together. So, and incarceration rates in America has been a problem, especially as opposed to minorities. And Roman delves into the issues around the legal system. Do you think we've made any headway in the
I think it's more important to make headway in our own house.
Thank you.
By the time the system comes into play, the damage is done. They're not locking up 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
I was in Chicago a couple of 3-4 weeks ago, and we saw these little kids on bikes with masks on the side of their head, like 5 or 6 of them. And the driver said, yeah, they're little yummies. I said, who? He said, little yummies. Look up, Google Lil Yummy. Lil Yummy was an 11-year-old murderer.
Wow.
And you look at his picture, you'll see the headshot of him, and he's like this. And he got murdered at 11 by a 14-year-old.
Wow.
Who's doing life now, and a 16-year-old.
That makes no sense.
You blame the system? Where was his father? It starts in the house. It starts in the home.
Thank you.
And yeah, well, my father got locked up. Well, where was his father?
Yeah.
And Mr. Washington talked about the friends he grew up with and what happened to them.
Like I did talk about my 3 closest friends, and they did, 15 to 25. One did 28, this and that.
Jeez.
I was the only one of the 3 that had a father in my life, even though my parents were together. But I still had a father who was a gentle man and a good example, and they didn't. We can blame the system if we want, but they didn't lock any of us up at 7.
Yeah.
We were all doing enough to get locked up at 13. My parents sent me in another direction. They didn't have anybody to help them, and they kept doing what they was doing.
The formula for success: hard work, focus, commitment, persistence, perseverance, sacrifice, and believing in yourself.
But remember, dreams without goals are just dreams, and they ultimately fuel disappointment. So have dreams, but have goals. Life goals, yearly goals, monthly goals, daily goals. I try to give myself a goal every day. Sometimes it's just to not curse somebody out. Simple goals, but have goals. And understand that to achieve these goals, you must apply discipline and consistency. In order to achieve your goals, you must apply discipline, which you have already done, and consistency every day, not just on Tuesday and miss a few days. You have to work at it every day. You have to plan every day. You've heard the saying, we don't plan to fail, we fail to plan.
Yes.
Hard work works. Working really hard is what successful people do. And in this text, tweet, twerk world that you've grown up in, remember, just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done.
Exactly.
Remember that. Just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. Don't confuse movement with progress. My mother told me, she said, yeah, because you can run in place all the time and never get anywhere.
Exactly.
So continue to strive, continue to have goals, continue to progress.
Quite a contrast from this.
Being a black man in America isn't easy. The hunt is on. And you're the prey.
Don't put a target on your back. That's the problem.
All I'm saying is, survive.
To this.
We all have different talents. Some of you will be doctors, some lawyers, some scientists, some educators, some nurses, some teachers. Yeah, okay. Some preachers. The most selfish thing you can do in this world is help someone else. Why is it selfish? Because the gratification, the goodness that comes to you, the good feeling, the good feeling that I get from helping others, nothing's better than that. Not jewelry, not big house I have, not the cars, but it's the joy. That's where the joy is in helping others. That's where the success is.
And at the top of Denzel Washington's list of things to do to become successful, put God first.
In helping others. Finally, I pray that you put your slippers way under the bed tonight, so that when you wake up in the morning, you have to get on your knees to reach them. And while you're down there, say thank you.
Amen.
For grace. Thank you for mercy. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for wisdom. Thank you for parents. Thank you for love. Thank you for kindness. Thank you for humility. Thank you for peace. Thank you for prosperity. Say thank you in advance for what's already yours. It's how I live my life. That's why I am. One of the reasons why I am today.
Amen.
Say thank you in advance for what is already yours. True desire in the heart for anything good is God's proof to you, sent beforehand to indicate that it's yours already.
Yep.
I'll say it again. True desire in the heart, that itch that you have, whatever it is you want to do, that thing that you want to do to help others and to grow and to make money, that desire, that itch, that's God's proof to you, sent beforehand already to indicate that it's yours. And anything you want good, you can have. So claim it. Work hard to get it. When you get it, reach back. Pull someone else up. Each one, teach one.
Amen. That's why I'm doing this channel.
Just aspire to make a living. Aspire to make a difference.
Now,
Amen.
Because this dastardly black conservative said good things about Denzel Washington, I hope he doesn't get canceled. I don't think he will.
You crazy, Larry. But I do wanna, like I said, and also because a lot of people like to do the whole, God stuff and stuff. And I'm not against it. Amen. I praise for what happened right there, okay? I praise what happened right there. But for me, I'm just saying this to you guys right there too. Because my family, my mom says, hey, look, lead by faith, not by sight. But okay, faith without works ain't gonna give you nothing. You have to also put in the work to do stuff. You can believe in God as much as you want. You have to put in the work to do what you want to be promised. God might care you someplace there for the people who are religious and stuff like that. But you got to put in the work. Always going to be put in the work. The work is the thing that you need to do the most, okay? So let's not pretend nothing. You can say, oh, God ordained this. Yes, but you have to work towards this. He might give you, again, the opportunity is there. Take it. But you got to work at it. Work hard. And also, when you down there praying as well, I have done do. Thank you for the energy that I could move and be animated. Thank you, God, for that. I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person, really. That's the way I look at things, but we'll see how that works with my mom. They come up here to live, stay with me for a while. But my point staying is that I just showed you multiple Black people who talked about working hard, keep your head straight. Don't try to get caught up in that nonsense we see outside. Don't concentrate in the noise. Women, choose better fathers to be for your. You got to choose. Don't choose the man just to have sex with. Choose the man because you want a father. Because again, most children are born through lust and love. Choose that better. Guys, you got to do the exact same thing for the one. You want to choose the right mother for your child. All right? And if that doesn't work out, even though she put you through living hell, because there are going to be some videos I'm going to talk about this, heaven, hell, try your best. Stay in your child's life. It's kind of sad, I don't wish you don't have to pay a crazy amount of money to do it, but try your best to stay in your child's life so you can co-parent, do stuff, okay? It'll be easier. But I just showed you a plethora of children and kids and Black people who are at the top of their game, who didn't do legal stuff. You didn't see me praise no Jay-Z and stuff like that. Props for Jay-Z for making his money and all that stuff, but he sold drugs. Same thing with T.I. All these guys sold drugs and stuff and hurting other people in the community. Good that they came back. Some of them have done stuff to help other people. Great. But nah, these are people who work hard, who had a horrible life, who had a way worse than most Black people have today, and they made it out and became smarter, intelligent, successful. Their family didn't have to worry for nothing. That's what I want. You do that. You don't have to be rich, but as long as you can live comfortable. But these people did that. So again, and all those people, what they did, proved the people who said anything wrong. Told the white did like me. Told the white leftists and the progressive people, and they're doing that. Get your hand off me. I'm not your pet. I could do what I could do. If you want to help me, help me. If you're not, move out the way. This color thing does not mean nothing, okay? Break the Black curse, work hard, do not have children unless you are married on a community collation, and graduate out of high school. That will help you as much as it can. You don't have to go to college. You can go to community college and learn stuff. I know a lot of HVC guys, I know a lot of plumbing guys who make, again, who on service call, make $200 a service call, who makes $100,000 easy. Because again, I want to show you a video. I know I got a video of this Black man right here. He's making 6 figures and he's broke. He's broke, making 6 figures. He doesn't have he had both parents who taught him what to do, but because he wanted to be balling and showing all the bling and all that stuff, like bling, bling and everything, he's broke. A broke dude. Now he got to hustle. He has a mentality, he has a mentality to keep working hard, but the way he spent his money is so stupid and idiotic. I'll do a video about that. You'll see that in Straight No Chasers. Other than that, anyway, guys, there you go. Not all. I didn't have to use all Black history as a bad thing. Really, just showing you guys that it can, this thing should not hold you back. If somebody doesn't like you because of your skin color, move on. Don't worry about them. Forget them. Move on and do best what it is. Don't say, oh, the Black sister holding a Black woman. I just showed you several Black women who are on their own business, got their own degrees, became the first self-made millionaire, did all this stuff. Don't let nobody hold you back. You do what you gotta do. Step up your game and do what you gotta do. Prove them wrong. Same thing for Black men as well too. Step up your game and prove them wrong. That's what I did, and that's what all the people you just saw in there did. You're gonna see a little stuff because again, the Larry Elder story one I wanted to get to, but I'll do it as its own video. And yes, I know I gotta do the second part of the shadow thing with the secret election thing. I'll do the second part and put it together. That's my just work has been crazy as hell. But other than that, guys, remember check back next week, 9 o'clock. Hey, Project Over Mike. We'll talk about our next show and what's going on. I want to also talk about the Texas thing. I basically found out why a lot of the bills were high, because people weren't reading their bills and found out that they want a variable rate instead of a fixed rate. So, but I'll have to tackle that myself. I'm only one man really. But if you guys want to catch more stuff, go to tomorrow's show, which is a side chat. Come back here and listen to the side chat as we talk about this stuff. Okay. Other than that, side chat tomorrow 9 o'clock. Tuesdays, and again, no straight no chasers video you see pop up, and you go to Project Open Mic. You see this down here, Project Open Mic on YouTube, and you can watch past shows and past videos. All right. With that said, remember, evil comes in all shapes, size, creed, races, sex, nationality, occupation, party. No matter what, evil's evil. And remember, as I always said, people is stupid, individual smart. Be that smart individual, guys. Be that smart individual. And you could go very far. Break that curse. With that said, I wish you all a good night. Peace out. Take care of your family. And catch you all next time on Project Open Mic.